Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Estrella virtual visit series. My name is Allison Campbell with Estrella Consulting, and I'm so excited to welcome Ryan Hanahan from Cleveland State University in Cleveland, Ohio. Our virtual visit series is designed to introduce you all to a variety of colleges and allow you to get to know the institutions and their staff in a more personal way. So thank you, Ryan, for joining us. I'd love for you just to take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself and how long you've been at CSU.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here and share a little bit more about CSU. So, as Allison said, my name is Ryan Hanahan. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions at Cleveland State. So I oversee our undergraduate recruitment. So we have a team of about 6 to 7 counselors who are mainly in the Ohio area, but we also expand out of the state as well too, to kind of spread the word about CSU and bring students here. I've been at CSU for a little over 6.5 years now. I actually started out as an admissions counselor as an entry-level position. Was looking to get into higher ed. I really loved working like in higher ed when I was in college. I helped out with like orientation and stuff like that. Got this position at CSU and then just kind of worked my way up from there. So I went from a admissions counselor, promoted to a senior admissions counselor, and then I actually did a little bit on the communication side. So I was our coordinator for admissions communications and also a senior counselor. So I was on the back end doing communications as far as like emails and mailers and text messages and all that good stuff. And then I also had a small territory of schools I worked with as well too in the local area. And then about a year and a half or so ago, I got promoted to the assistant director position. So now I'm kind of overseeing all the operations, but it's been really great. I think my time as an admissions counselor has really been helpful because I recruited in a number of different areas for us. So I was able to interact with students not only from Ohio, but Pennsylvania, New York. I went out to the Columbus area a lot too. So it's a very good way of like learning the area, learning the students and the times that are changing and stuff like that. But yeah, been here for 6.5 years. Love it. I think CSU is a very unique institution based off just where we're located and the offerings we have for students. We being here in the city, we like to kind of call ourselves like the Cleveland's University. We are the school right in the middle of downtown, and we have a great kind of partnership and connection with the city. And we try to make sure students really see that coming downtown, you come down here and you go to a sporting event, you go to a show at Playhouse Square, you're going down to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All those things are right by our campus. And so we're trying to just show students and prospective students, all these things are right here and you're going to learn and get an incredible education at the same exact time. So yeah, I'm excited to talk more, answer more questions and go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, with Estrella being based out of the Northeast Ohio area, and I'm sure that a lot of the students and families that are watching this are pretty familiar with Cleveland State. We also do have some out of state and actually international students as well that we work with. So you've already alluded to the fact that Cleveland State is in the heart of downtown Cleveland. But can you tell us a little bit about more about the demographics? So like your enrollment size, some of your premier programs, or really any other points of pride that you think are important to highlight regarding Cleveland State?
Yeah, so we in total, as of like a ballpark number, rough number, we have about 16,000 students on campus right now. So we're considered overall like a mid-sized university. We seem a lot bigger when you're here on campus just because we are in the middle of downtown. So like any city you go to, there's a bunch of people always walking around, whether they're students, professionals, whatever it is. So when you're on campus, it seems like we're a lot bigger than we are. But actually, when you look at the numbers, we're a mid-sized university. So like I said, about 16,000 students on campus, about 14,000 of those are undergraduate students.
Okay.
What's really great about being a mid-sized university as well too is we're able to focus on having like a small classroom. So average class size for students is about 25. So it's probably pretty similar to what your like high school classes are right now. And that's really their freshman year. As they go through their sophomore, junior, senior year, those classes will get smaller and smaller, more individualized, and they'll get more personal attention to really make sure that they're interacting with the professors. They know who they are. Like if they're walking downtown after class one day, their professor is going to know who they are. They're going to see, hey, how's things going? How's that assignment? Things they can help you out with. They're not just like a face in the crowd or a number on a roster sheet. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. Our professors, we have a lot of great professional staff. A lot of them have kind of been professionals in the industry, have now come back to teach our students. They have great partnerships to like really help with careers and internships and stuff like that too. So that's why we kind of focus on, like I said, having that small personal attention right there. As far as programs, we are, like I said, we offer over 175 different programs. So most likely whatever student's looking for, we probably have it here on campus.
Okay.
As far as the really big ones that are very popular for students, it's really anything in business, which makes a lot of sense because we are in the middle of downtown Cleveland. So there's a bunch of Fortune 500, Fortune 250 companies literally within walking distance of our campus. So if you go into the College of Business, you're going to have a great opportunity to work with some of these massive local companies, whether it's, KeyBank, Sherwin-Williams, Progressive. Like in some cases, you could go to class in the morning, learn something new, grab lunch, walk across the street, and go straight into your internship at one of these
Hmm.
Fortune 500 companies. So business is huge for us. Engineering as well. Engineering is another really, really big popular program for us. They offer about the same amount of academic programs within those colleges. Engineering is really great too. They offer a lot of internships, but also have a co-op program where essentially students can
Okay.
work for local companies, get paid while they're working there, while getting their education at CSU, and then their job placement usually at the end of it is like 98% or something like that. Usually the
Yeah.
companies are just waiting for these students to graduate so they can offer them a full-time job, but that is all built within the programs of engineering. So like I said, top big two are business and engineering. Nursing is also a very popular one for us as well too. We have the
Okay.
full school of nursing here right in downtown Cleveland. So um, we need more nurses. Nursing is a very, very popular field. And the fact that we have the school here on campus makes it a very competitive program. But with that, again, being in downtown and kind of using that to our advantage, we have partnerships with Cleveland Clinic, University Hospitals, and Metro Health, which are right down the road. So you can just hop on the Health Line, scoot right down the
Mhm.
street, go into your clinicals, or even on campus, we have some state-of-the-art labs for students. So whether it's on campus or in the real setting, you're going to be understand like nursing is a very hands-on job. So you're not going to be in the classroom. You're going to be in a state-of-the-art lab, which is a real life simulation, or you're going to be actually in the hospital system down the street.
Yeah.
And then a fourth one that's pretty popular as well too is anything in the arts. So we
Okay.
are right down the street from Playhouse Square. Playhouse Square actually houses our entire arts campus. So whether that's film, design, art, um, anything within the arts field is all in Playhouse Square. So overall, it's the second largest theater district in the country behind Broadway. So most likely,
Hmm.
if a show comes here and you miss it, the next place you're going to have to see is probably on Broadway. So there's a lot of big time shows coming through here. And what's great about our students having the opportunity to work down there and learn down there is any show, gallery, exhibit, whatever's happening at Playhouse Square, those students are working either alongside those professionals or backstage. So
Okay.
again, it's a very hands-on thing, but the fact that your classrooms are in Playhouse Square, you're in the music side of it. We have staff members who are part of the Cleveland Orchestra who are teaching our students. So it's like you're learning from some
Awesome.
of the best. And like I said, um, the fact that it's the second largest theater district is a very, very cool thing to like walk down and like you walk there and you're like, this is my campus. This is where I go to school.
Yeah.
And then also you see like, the shows that are coming in, which is crazy. And our students have a lot of opportunities with that. Like Back to the Future was here. Like we had students helping out with all that kind of stuff, which is great. So, like I
Yeah.
said, we have a lot of programs. Those are kind of like the top four fields usually students are looking at, but across the board, if we have a program, most likely students are gonna have a fit here at CSU.
Okay, yeah, 175 different options. That's quite a few options.
Yeah,
But you're right. I mean, just the accessibility that an urban inner city type campus has, just the accessibility to all those things. And, business is such a popular one across the board for many of our students. But especially the accessibility for healthcare. We see like a lot of really strong healthcare programs at colleges, but then they have to drive 20 minutes to figure out where their clinicals are going to be.
right,
Like you literally have so many options. And again, that ability to do hands-on experience or clinicals, or like you mentioned, the engineering co-op or a business internship, and then have that almost a guarantee of employment upon
yeah,
graduation, like that's huge. And a student could just stay in Cleveland. They don't have to worry about, oh, once I'm done here in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, now I have to like figure out my next stop.
right.
You could just find an apartment in Cleveland if you don't already have one. So
And we have a lot of our alumni actually like I think the number is around like 80 some percent actually stay within Northeast Ohio after graduating. And so they pretty much are like feeding back into this economy, this like growing, bustling area. Like for a
mhm.
long time, I think it's fair to say like Cleveland's had a bad rap, but in the last 10 years, it's kind of had this like resurgence where like downtown is a much, much more fun place to go. Like the city is invested in the downtown area and our campus is right there. So the students who are
Mhm.
here get to experience all that firsthand and like get to take advantage of it. And a lot of them end up, like I said, graduating, staying here in Northeast Ohio and kind of feeding back into this. Like they understand that this is a great city, great things that are here. I'm gonna stay here and be part of this like resurgence and uplifting of
Yeah.
what we are. So it's really cool.
Yeah, Ryan and I were talking before we got started about the dismal Cleveland weather, but that's like really the worst thing about Cleveland. Like the weather
Yeah.
kind of stinks, but this is really the first like crummy day that we've had in a long
Yes.
time. So, if you can bear the weather, there's such an upside to Cleveland, just, the bustling downtown, the access to sports, the access to arts, the access to industry, the access to obviously job and internship opportunities. There's a lower cost of living here as
Yep.
well. So, I mean, if you're looking for an urban campus or something that's going to be in the inner city compared to New York, Chicago, LA, Miami, like this is a really good option. So, speaking of affordability, can you speak a little bit to the cost involved to go to Cleveland State? Obviously, you're an Ohio State school.
Mhm.
So, if you could speak to again, COA and then maybe also the type of scholarships that would be available for students.
Yeah, so we have two different kind of like tuition breakdowns. We have an in-state cost, so any student who's from Ohio applying to CSU, they will fall into one bracket, and then there's an out-of-state tuition cost as well too. So right now for students who are currently at CSU who just came in this fall of 2024, um, their tuition for a full year is about 12,800 or so, a little like
Mhm.
12,800 and a few extra from there. So that's for a full year. So you divide that by two, it's a little over 6,000 a semester. Um,
Okay.
the out of state is about 16,000 and some from there. So again, divide that by two, so a little over eight for a semester. Um, so right off the bat, we're a pretty affordable option for students. That's kind of like the tuition cost. And we also have a guarantee program. So essentially what that means is that whenever a student comes to CSU, that first year, whatever their tuition rate is, they are locked into it for the next 4 years or eight
Okay.
semesters.
That's
So
nice.
some cases in some schools, your tuition will vary depending on the year. It will go bit, it'll be higher or lower depending on credit hours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is stressful for students to deal with and also parents and guardians as well too, because you don't know each year what the cost will be to attend. Um, so it can be a lot, and the guarantee program really just allows students and families a better budget, better plan. You know exactly what's coming your way each and every semester. The only thing that's going to change really is like if you pick a different residence hall, if you pick a different meal plan, the amount of textbooks you get, stuff like that, like things that are not
Okay. More
drastically
variable.
right.
Okay.
But your tuition stays the same, so that allows students and families better budget, better plan, and then the really overall goal is that whenever they graduate, their debt is as low as possible, and they're able to go into their career and start making money from day one, and they're not paying off debt and loans and things for years to come. So, um,
Okay.
but the overall like estimated cost we usually give for like an in-state student, overall is like with tuition, estimated room, board, textbooks, parking on campus if you want a parking pass. Um, for an in-state student, it's about 24, a little over 24,000 for the
Full
full
year.
year.
Okay.
Um, we actually don't require students to live on campus either. So if an in-state student from the Cleveland area or anywhere local, or they have family here, whatever it is, they choose not to live in a residence hall, that takes about 10 or so $1,000 away from there. So they're, you know, cost of attendance would be around the 14,000 or so per year.
Okay.
So um,
Okay. That's something else I want to talk a little bit about. I feel like, again, it's been 20 years since I went to college, but I feel like Cleveland State had a reputation of being more of a commuter campus.
mhm,
And I think in the last 10 years, Cleveland State's done a phenomenal job of, securing residence halls and building those beautiful townhomes near the highway and
yeah.
just having those options for the students. And, I just wanted to speak to, you mentioned that if you're in Northeast Ohioan, you don't have to live on campus, but is there a residency requirement for students that live outside a certain radius, or is it pretty much just like if you
Yeah,
want
no, I
you want
mean,
housing, you can. If not, figure it out. Like,
yeah, so we don't have like a radius, like if you're outside this mileage, you have to live on campus. It's really an option for everyone. So, um, most of the time, if you're from out of state or from further away, you'll be like, I'm going to live on campus. It makes more sense to do so. But we also have a lot of people, and like the more you work at Cleveland State, the more and like the more people you talk to, um, a lot of people have like family or relatives or friends who live in the Cleveland area. Like it's almost like Cleveland's like the center point, and then everyone kind of expands out from there. But like when I was recruiting in like New York and PA and stuff, they'd be like, "Oh, I have my cousins live there, or my aunt and uncle, or like
mhm.
we used to live in Cleveland, and then we moved to, you know, Erie, PA, and we're familiar with the area." So like even those students, if they live out of state but they have family who live by, they can live with that person. Like they're not required at all to live on campus.
Okay.
Usually we'll kind of help them with that conversation and be like, here are your options. This kind of makes the most sense, but we're not ever pushing a student to be like, you need to be in the residence halls if you live
Okay.
300 miles away. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's fair. And I think too, a question that we get from parents a lot, especially again, going back to like an urban campus in the middle of the city, is like the housing security.
yeah,
Some of our counterparts that we've worked with, they've had these like basically like they've enrolled too many students, they don't have enough places to house them, and they're buying parts of hotels and renting them out, or they're putting students, three or four in a double
yeah,
just to make it happen. And, it sounds like Cleveland State doesn't really they have the option if you'd like to live on campus. There's plenty of housing available, but knowing that, it's going to be harder or more expensive maybe to secure like your own apartment somewhere, but you're
yeah,
not required to do that because I think
right.
some of these colleges, you maybe have 1 year where we're guaranteeing 1 year, but as a 19-year-old, good luck. You need to live in a high rise somewhere in New York City or Chicago, or like
Yeah,
you don't have the budget for that, nor really like the maturity to take
yeah,
that
it's
on.
tough.
So I'm glad that Cleveland State at least has that option. And I mean, can someone pursue that as a junior or senior as well? Like if they're like, hey, I'm from halfway across the world, can I still live on campus as a junior? They have
Yeah,
that option. Okay.
yeah. So we actually, so right now we actually have three residence halls. So we have really for our student population, we have more than enough beds on campus. In our conversations, we think from the CSU side of it is a benefit to living on campus, especially like your freshman year, whether you're from Northeast Ohio or from out of state or whatever. Like there is something to be said about living on campus and being kind of in the mix of like the student
For
life when you're
sure.
outside the classroom, where even if you commute in, you still get a good sense of it and a good like idea of what's going on. But there's a lot of things that are still happening when you might, commute home at the end of the day, stuff like that. So we always
Yeah.
encourage students to at least consider it, look at it. But at the end of the day, like if it does not financially make sense for you, we just want to make sure whatever works the best, you have the options. We just try to lay it out on the table for you.
Okay.
But we actually, one of the residence halls, so we have three residence halls. One is a freshman, sophomore only building. So that holds
Okay.
all freshman, sophomore students. And the other two are upperclassmen, so junior and senior. So,
Okay.
and what's really great about those is like, and kind of different about the way our residence halls here at CSU is they are very far from like a typical residence hall. Where like usually your residence hall is a small like cinder block room and you have to bunk your beds and your desks are like right on top of each other and it's really like you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of space. It's kind of just like a very, very tiny area. You like only have heat and the heat only works like all the time. Like even in the summer,
Yeah.
for some
It's
reason, your heat's always
full
going.
blast or no blast. Those are
Yeah.
the two settings.
So these buildings we have are actually like downtown apartments that we've pretty much just acquired and made part of CSU housing. So they are private bathrooms. They have common areas. They have kitchenettes in the rooms. Like you have views of like the lake or the city, depending on which building you're in and side of the building you're on. Um, so it's pretty much like you're living in a downtown apartment that is considered a residence hall. Um,
Yeah.
you have heat, AC, Wi-Fi, free laundry on site, all kind of like I get very jealous looking at the residence halls when I'm talking with students, being like, you don't know what it's like. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been in some
you don't know
dismal
the
residence
struggle.
halls,
Yeah. So there,
but
it's a very cool, very nice like living situation. I think parents and guardians really like when they see the rooms and the spaces their students will be staying in, it brings a lot of comfort and like reassurance knowing like, okay, this is a very like well-suited building that my son, daughter, niece, nephew, granddaughter, grandson, like they can live in this and like really enjoy their time here in
yeah.
Cleveland. So
Well, that's good. Good. Yeah. Like I said, I just feel like Cleveland State for a long time had like more of a commuter vibe. And, the last decade they've really invested in having the option for students to live down there. And it's become like more trendy and cool and like
yeah,
normal, not normal, but like just that's what you do. Like, oh, you can live on campus at Cleveland State.
yeah,
But again, like imagine living downtown and being able to like leave my dorm room and walk 2 blocks over to watch a play at Playhouse Square, or
right,
take an Uber over to the Guardians game or something like that. So I'm glad that the students have those options. It's not like really challenging to have housing. Again, it's very comforting for parents, especially like that don't know Cleveland State, or if they're like, I feel like, I mean, I'm a women's basketball fan, so I feel like I would follow the women's basketball team,
yeah,
but they've got a lot of kids from like Milwaukee and Chicago. So if I'm sending
yeah.
my students 6.5, 7 hours away, like, are they going to be all right? They have
Are
a
they gonna
place to
like?
live.
Yeah.
So
How's it gonna be? Yeah. No, I agree. We've had that. commuter campus kind of like vibe for a long time, and we're slowly getting out of it as far as like you can commute if you want, but there's places to be here, and we have great opportunities for you to be here too. And um,
Okay.
so yeah, we're kind of moving in the right direction with it for sure. So
All right, sounds good. All right, let's get a couple more questions here. We're kind of running short on time, but would you say, so, oh, we mentioned affordability. Is there any type
yes.
of scholarship available? So, I mean, I know, again, being an in-state Ohio school, you don't technically have to give a ton of scholarship because the price tag is relatively low in
Right.
comparison to some of the other schools. But do you have any like full ride scholarships or particular scholarships for certain demographics or like collaborations that you have?
Yeah, so there across the board are a number of different scholarships students can receive at CSU. Through our admissions office specifically, we offer a merit-based scholarship for in-state and out-of-state students. So right now, what that looks at is just a student's cumulative high school GPA when they apply to CSU. Um,
Okay.
for our admissions process right now, we are technically like test blind, so we are not using ACT or SAT test scores for our admissions decisions. We're really just looking at a
Okay.
cumulative high school GPA. But if a student has taken those tests, they send them in, and that's going to help them receive a higher merit-based scholarship. We will use the score. If it won't help,
Okay.
no harm, no foul. It's not going to affect anything. It's just going to offer, like, if we can get them more money, we're going to give them more money. So, um,
Okay.
like I said, we offer those automatically just by applying to CSU. You're considered eligible for that scholarship. You don't have to do anything special or anything different. And we just
Okay.
look at that GPA and those test scores if applicable, and then you receive that award. And then that's automatic renewable for all 4 years. So if you
Okay.
receive, and these will vary depending on the incoming class. So like right now, students who apply from Ohio have at least a 3.0 will receive $1,000 in a merit scholarship. And that can
Okay.
range all the way up to $8,000 based off of GPA and test scores and stuff like that. Um, but say they receive $1,000, that's 500 a semester. That'll always come off that tuition right away. And as long as they keep like a 2.0, they're going to have that award every year. So
Okay.
automatic renewable. We have those for in-state and out-of-state students. Just to, the awards kind of vary depending on tuition. So the out-of-state awards are a little bit bigger, but that's because the tuition is a
Okay.
little bit bigger as well. Um, we also offer right now for students, and this is a year-by-year thing, but we have a Voyager Award for Pennsylvania and New York students.
Okay.
So what that means is that we'll bring their tuition costs within $5 of our in-state tuition as well too.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay. So it sounds
um,
like that's probably a demographic that you're trying to grow, or like the
yeah,
neighboring states, New York, Pennsylvania. Okay.
so we there are a lot of we are right next to these states obviously, but there are a lot of students who are in these states who could benefit from CSU and the options we provided them. So we try to make sure they're aware of it. And then, like I said, if they apply, they're for right now, students who are coming in for the fall 2025 um, will receive the Voyager Award to bring their out-of-state tuition costs within in-state numbers. Um,
Okay.
so those are through our admissions office, and then we also offer awards through our financial aid office, which they do a really good job of kind of filtering them based off of the academic college or the major. So if a student is a business student, they can go to our financial aid website, look up the scholarships by college, go to the College of Business, and then see the
Okay.
awards for just those students. And then they can also do it for their major too. Um, those require an application, but we always tell students like it's worth the time to do the application to hopefully receive X amount of dollars off your tuition. But
Yeah.
what's great about those is they kind of it's a smaller selection pool, so students applying for that have a better opportunity of receiving those awards that they have to apply for. So, like I
Do you
said,
use
those
like a
are
scholarship universe?
it's
Kind of
it's just all
similar.
yeah, it's a similar type of program.
Okay. For those of you that don't know Scholarship Universe, it's like basically when you have like an account through the school, you can search through any institutional scholarships that they have available. And it just obviously you don't know until usually the spring whether or not you get them, but don't you miss all the shots you don't take. So it's worth a
Yeah,
shot.
it's worth submitting the application, like I said. And they also our financial aid office is great. They have a whole front and back form of external awards that students
Okay.
at CSU have received and used at CSU. So they're vetted awards, and they share that regularly too, just to be like, hey, Google this award and apply for it because we know if you receive
Oh,
it, it
that's
can be used
cool.
here. So, like I said, we try
That's
to
great.
always any aid we can help students with, we try to at least point them in that direction. So,
Yeah, I think Cleveland State does a good job with accessibility too. They're a little bit like less selective, but also more like inclusive and, going into demographics that maybe they aren't the more traditional college bound demographics and trying to
yeah,
get those students to have an opportunity to succeed at higher ed. So I appreciate that. Okay, we are about out of time, so I want to ask you one more question.
yeah.
Who would you say, so you've been at CSU for 6 years. Are you an alum of CSU?
I got my master's here, so
Okay.
technically, yes, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Technically. Who would you say, aside from yourself, is the most exciting guest or speaker on campus or most interesting alumnus?
I mean, I might be a little bit biased on this, but um, I think one of the most like interesting people we have on campus who really helps out with our admissions office a lot and is always very present and forward facing is our president. So Laura Bloomberg is an amazing person on campus. She is a great speaker. She is always on about like she is regularly just connecting with students like in downtown Cleveland. Like you just see her walking around and she's over grabbing a coffee with them or grabbing lunch or just checking and seeing how things are going. Like she is one of the best people I've ever been able to work with and talk with. And she does an
Awesome.
amazing job as far as like really speaking and engaging not only students, but like she'll come and do admissions events with us and she'll speak with the parents and the guardians of these students. And I think she's a parent, she's a grandparent, like she can really connect with these groups and kind of
Mhm.
talk about her experiences and stuff like that. And so I think she's one of the most like interesting people. We love having her. She's great for Cleveland State. She's great for the students who are working here. And um, so I mean, I think that's a good I like to think that's a good
Yeah, for
answer to
sure.
say the
I think
president of your
having
own university, but
yeah, a president that's relatable
yeah,
is key because it just makes everybody feel comfortable and welcomed. They don't feel like the president's up here and then everybody else is down here. So for you to say that from a perspective of her interactions with the student, but also saying as someone who's your boss
yeah,
technically and like has the
right.
best interests of the university at heart is really key. So
Yeah.
well, thank you, Ryan. It was so nice meeting you, and thanks so much
Yes.
for giving us some more insight on Cleveland State. And if you're watching this, if you want more information, feel free to reach out to Ryan, or he can direct you to the person that would be the best contact for you. But we appreciate it so much. Have a great rest of your recruitment season, and we will be in touch for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan. Bye-bye.